Hi friends, so welcome again to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Caroline from Cara Soul. I am an intuitive and ascension guide, and I assist you on your spiritual journey. So I want to create that video that I promised in my last one, which is how the dark gets consent. And this will be even more important and valuable information as we move forward. So, how the dark gets consent in a nutshell, in a single sentence, is the dark gets consent through your willful ignorance. So the dark gets consent by you, by us as individuals, choosing to not research or be proactive in our awareness and our information and knowledge. So an example I have is, for example, there are declassified documents that demystify certain mainstream narratives and myths if you choose not to educate yourself in those declassified documents. Your willful ignorance is your chosen consent because there is information out there. So, because the truth is out there, if you choose not to explore it or to examine it, you, by choosing to not use the resources that are available to you, you are choosing to consent to whatever dark plan is imposed upon you. So this will be really important as we move forward because, as I mentioned in the 2021 energy update for the new year, is that this year, what we saw in 2020 was just a preview. I'm not going to go too much into how it manifests in the 3D. I'm going to make another video right now about the energy of what I'm feeling coming in now. But staying on topic with the way the dark is getting consent is, we have options in how we choose to live. The reality is that we are free and sovereign beings. We do not have to subject ourselves or tolerate any type of abuse or injustices or a lower quality of life. We did not come down here to do those things. We did not incarnate into this world to be slaves. And there are many systems in place that are just like a loose slavery, so to speak. There are lots of systems that we think are normal that are actually designed to keep us enslaved, especially in our mindset, in our attitudes, in our perspective of the world. So if we choose to not educate ourselves, if we choose not to expand our individual consciousness, if we choose not to ask questions, if we choose not to do our own research, if we choose not to go within and ask ourselves, does this feel right to me? Or am I doing this because I'm afraid I'll be rejected by my friend group, or I'm afraid I won't be able to have my job that I really don't like anymore. So I'm just going to do it because I'm afraid of the unknown. So if we choose to not be proactive with our own internal research as well as our external research, we are consenting to whatever plan is imposed upon us. So another example that I have that's even better is the privacy notice on all of the social medias that's taken place over the last month. For example, there is a very large social media organization that runs almost all of them now. So that is in violation of antitrust laws. If you didn't do your research, there are actually several antitrust laws against this company because of their, hi, my kitten, my kitty, because of their lack of competition and buying up the other organizations. So what they've done is they've updated their terms and services. I actually chose to go off of all of their social media platforms because I do not consent to the terms of agreement. And so what they did is, if you chose not to read it, you were just bundled into the acceptance. So if you continue to use our website, if you continue to use our services, you are choosing to consent. So that is the perfect example of how the dark is choosing to get consent. So if you choose not to read, if you choose not to read the fine print, if you choose not to ask the right questions, if you choose not to do research, if you choose to just accept what is told to you or what is fed to you, you are consenting to the dark plan. So take responsibility for that. And if you don't want to do the research, if you don't want to ask the questions, just take responsibility for the fact that you don't want to, and you're willing to give your power up to something outside of you, because that is what you're choosing. So it's going to be self-accountability, self-responsibility, and self-sufficiency is what my guidance system was telling me so heavily for the last 2 years are going to be so important moving forward, especially if we want to create the seeds of new earth. The seeds of new earth are not sprouted in the soil where we take no self-responsibility. In fact, it is the opposite, where we take so much radical self-responsibility that we do not blame or put anything that is ours outside and out external circumstances. So that's how the dark gets consent. So think about that every time that you don't read something you're agreeing to. Think about that every time you accept a narrative or a news story without doing your own research. Think about that every time a social media influencer tells you something that you just blindly believe. So you are consenting. And so that's how the dark kids consent. They get consent by your silence. They get consent through your chosen ignorance, through choosing to not do your own research. So I highly encourage you to start doing some research, to be responsible for your life, for what you want your life to look like. Because if you don't, you are giving that power up to somebody outside of you. If you are not responsible for the quality and the determinants of your life, you're saying that something outside of you chooses the quality and the sustenance of your life. And if you give up that power, it means that anybody else can decide how high or how low that quality of your life is. So be aware of what you're consenting to, especially in your personal dynamic. So if someone's trying to pull you into an argument or a lower vibrational interaction, meaning maybe they're looking to fight just because they need to argue, or maybe they're trying to convince you of their views because they're so insecure that someone else could have a conflicting or opposing view that they need you to match with theirs. If you don't want to, you don't have to consent to those dynamics. You don't have to consent to those interactions. So whatever you are agreeing to, whatever you are choosing to continue to participate in, you are consenting in. If there are cultural things that you don't like, maybe you don't like the way people show up on social media, and so you're complaining about what you're seeing on social media, but you're still participating, you are consenting. You are a willful participant. You are a contribution. You are contributing to the creation of those things because you are participating. So think about what you're participating in, take radical responsibility of what you are consenting in, and take radical responsibility of how you show up in your life and what you're choosing your life to be, because that is your responsibility.